The Morning Show on Eastcoast FM.
The Morning Show
with Declan Meehan.
Okay, Rod Coyne has joined us from the Avoca Painting School. He's driven up this morning to where we are in Ballywaltrim near Kilmac. You're very welcome.
Thank you, Declan.
Okay, we're asking everybody this morning the weather situation on the drive. How was yours?
Oh, well, I had a beautiful start to my journey up in the Vale of Avoca. We were in sunshine, passed by Lugnaquilla. It was all lit up, but behind it was this big black cloud. And by the time I got down to the N11, it was pelting down the snow, and I could only see about 20 yards ahead on the road.
What a varied morning you had.
Yeah, definitely, and it hasn't lightened up since, but the snow's eased off for the moment, as we'll have to get ready for all four seasons today.
Indeed. Tell us about yourself anyway. How come you're in Avoca?
I originally came back from Germany, having spent 10 years there. I had a studio and worked with my art there. Came back in 1999, just in time for the millennium, and wanted to set up. Came back to do landscape painting. I'd been working in my studio there, painting Irish landscapes from sketches and postcards and photos, and said it's obviously time that I came back. So I wanted to plant myself in the heart of Ireland, and so from there we had a look for a place to live, and eventually we found what was at the time the Avoca Gift Centre, and we said, look, there's a place to live, and we could have a gallery. So we went for it.
And we're inspired by the landscape of the Garden of Ireland as such, because we've got the rivers, we've got the lakes, we've got the mountains, we've got the forest, we've got the blue sky sometimes. Is it all that?
Yeah, absolutely. That's always been an element of it. As I said, I grew up in Dunleary originally, and County Wicklow is like your back garden in a lot of ways, because you're always gazing up at the Wicklow Mountains. You're during the summer you'll go down to Silver Strand or to Brittas Bay, and in the winter up hiking around Jouse Woods and Glendalough and places like that. So it was always a draw for me. And even before we moved to Avoca, I would regularly take trips up into the mountains to do my painting, my outdoor painting days.
Right, and you have a painting school as such, is it? Yeah,
we have the Avoca Painting School. It's up and running now in a structured form, probably for the last 3 years or so. Although it was inevitably going to happen, I didn't realise it at the time when we opened the Avoca Studio Gallery. Within the first year, I'd already gathered quite a list of names. People were coming in all the time and wanted to know when I was going to do classes, when could they learn something about painting and that. So I said, okay, we'll put that in the suggestion box for the moment. And I think into year 2, this American lady came into me, and she was gushing about everything she saw there and loving the painting and everything. And that's great. Okay, we might be on for a sale here, but that never came through. But she was back in touch with me a few months later, and she said, Rod, I have a group of students here, and I want to come over and do what you do in Wicklow and do plein air painting. And so could you put something together for us? And they came over. Said these 21 Minnesotans came over, right. And I spent a week taking them all around Wicklow, and I just took them to the places that I go to paint myself, and took them to all of my favourite spots, and introduce them to the Garden of Ireland.
And do you have to know how to paint in order to learn how to paint? Do you have to have the eye for it? I mean, if somebody like I can draw a face now, for example. I just haven't got whatever it takes to do it. Yet you're going to be teaching people. Do they have to have a head start?
It works at various degrees, and people get various very varied things out of it. I mean, the way I look at it is, more or less everyone's going to learn to drive. Very few of them will be, a Formula One racing driver. So people have to sort of realise that they're going to take it to a certain standard. Now, I find the people that come to me, they could be, of a very varied cross-section of students, from people who painted when they were in school and now they're retired and they had that hankering, they want to get back to it, and right up to people who would be actually qualified artists who've studied, but they maybe never learned to paint, because it isn't necessarily the top of the list these days in what people do in art college. So from that point of view, I can't teach somebody to be an artist, but but I can teach somebody an awful lot about painting and understanding painting. And others, they come along, they know they've no intention of being artists, and they just enjoy the process. And they also, as well as the process, they get an awful lot out of it from the point of view that they understand paintings. They go to an exhibition somewhere else, and having got their hands dirty once, they have a much better understanding of what to see on the wall.
Yeah.
And what the artists...
Can you teach people contrast between colours and what colours go and what colours don't, and how you want to achieve a twilight scene? And they're the sort of things that people want to learn.
Yes, yeah. Well, people often do come with very clear ideas of what they'd like to experience, what they'd like to pick up on new things. And what I do is in the classes I do in the studio and in the outdoor painting workshops, I always start with a painting demonstration. It's a very handy thing because you have a group of people maybe who haven't met together, so I'm doing the work. I'm the one who's on the spot, who has to perform. They can get to know each other. It might take a half an hour or an hour, but I break it down into bite-sized chunks. So if we're in the studio, I'm painting from life, maybe a still life or something, or if we're at the meeting of the waters, painting a view of the river. So I break it down into bite-sized chunks, how to create the composition, how to mix the colours, how to create one version of what you see down the river. But everybody will have their own version of it. But it's great. It's a nice springboard to get people eased into the groove, and then to give it a lash themselves.
Yeah. And what materials do you usually use?
I personally, when I'm painting, I'm working in oils or on acrylics as well. For the painting school, unless some people bring their own materials, and that could be anything from watercolour, oils or acrylics. I start people in acrylics. For me, I think it's one of the handiest medium, because you can do everything with it that you could do with a watercolour, and you can do everything with it that you could do with oil paint. So you have the best of both worlds.
Right, and what is acrylic?
Acrylic, it's a water-based paint, so you don't have all solvents and white spirits and any of that stuff going on. You just mix it. You can mix it, thin it with water. You can wash it off your hands with warm.
Right. Can you rub it
water
out now if you make a mistake?
No, you don't rub it out. And actually, I do go around confiscating rubbers from people. Because I always say, if you're drawing, I find people, they rub out a line they think is wrong, they rub it out and they draw one exactly in the same spot again. So it says leave the wrong line as a reference, and you can work around that. But with the paint, you don't rub it out, you work over it. You incorporate it, you can trim it back. The acrylic is drying very quickly, so you get a chance within the shortest space of time to actually work over something if it's gone haywire on you.
Right, and there's a lot of people want to do this, I presume, is there?
Absolutely. Well, I mean, we had close to 100 students last year throughout our summer workshops throughout the summer. We did, I think, 7 or 8 workshops, and then we did 5 courses in the gallery, studio courses as well. So there's a big interest there, and people come from far and wide. Indeed, at the moment, I have a man in our 6-week course. He travels over the Wicklow Gap from Kildare every week. I don't know if he'll be doing it now. Hopefully the snow will have melted by the time next class comes around. And last year we even got bookings from New York and Switzerland. So that's it's something everybody's interested in. Little industry going for yourself there in Avoca, yeah? Well, it is, and as I say, it sprung up. I should have seen it coming. I didn't necessarily, but it sprung up just through having opened the Avoca Studio Gallery. And my intention there was just to find a home for my art, that I could show it and share it and get feedback from people. It's very important, and also that I'd have a studio space that's where I live, because I mean I'd say every artist would like to have a studio space close by, because I mean inspiration doesn't come 9 to 5. You have to be ready to do something at 3 in the morning if you feel you need to. And is there a community of artists? Because a lot of artists, sculptors, people who live and pick County Wicklow to live, they're very artistic people. Do you all know each other? Yes, we do know each other, and your paths cross all the time. And it's quite true. Wicklow, it's like somebody stirred a nest or something. Like, the place is overrun with artists, writers, poets, musicians. Personally, I'm a part now of a relatively new artist group in Tinnahealy, the Tinnahealy Arts Group. And actually, that's what I was talking to you last time about. We were bringing out the sheep flock, which are 3-dimensional sheep. They're put all around Tinnahealy. They're coming out again. That's right, yeah. Are they? They're coming out again in April. I think on the 20th they'll be coming out to graze for the summer. But So through that, there's one community there, and it's a whole mix of people, ceramicists, photographers, sculptors, painters, all sorts of artists, and I think it's very important, and it's great that there's something there. I don't know if it's in the water, if it's the landscape, but people are always interested in grouping together with like-minded people, and Wicklow seems to draw the creative folk for whatever reason.
Right, so if you want to contact Rod and interested in all this, all the W's, avocagallery.com?
Avocagallery.com for my own work, but really for the Avoca Painting School, we have an extra website, and that's www.avocapaintingschool.com. And we have all our dates, because we're doing a whole range of outdoor painting workshops, one a month between April and September this year. And we want people to come and get involved.
Very good. Okay, outdoors. Okay, well, I'm sure it'll all improve anyway as well.
Well, you're talking about spring earlier on today, so we're getting ready, and maybe I'm deluded, but I'm ever the optimist. And no, I mean, people often ask me that. What do you do? What do you do when it's a miserable day like today? Maybe if it's today, I might find something to do in the studio, stretch a few canvases or whatever else. But I mean, I paint outdoors all year round, and I might often get a nicer day in December than I will in June.
Yeah.
So you just have to be a bit open-minded about it.
And ready for it.
It is an outdoor pursuit.
Very good. Okay, Rod and Coyne there from Avoca Studio Gallery there in Avoca. Lovely little picture here. Got the brochure here. It's a beautiful little house. Thanks for coming in this morning.
Thank you very much,
Best of luck
Declan.
with the painting school, Rod. Thank you.
Thanks.